Alright, let's build a bridge. This film will focus on the construction of the largest bridge on the trail. I figured knock the big one out first, right? We need a sturdy bridge that will allow you to keep your speed over the creek bed and not bog down your run. I also entered this project hoping to use a majority local materials.
This log bridge is gonna be sick, but it also has to have a few considerations. There's a central point that will be in the water when it rains. There's a run-in ramp. We don't necessarily want to make a skinny. We really want this to be doable for all riding levels.
Alright, so it is cold and wet and it's about to rain, but I wanted to talk through this because we just had a party and my good buddy Jack, who is an engineer, had some ideas for the center support, and I think he's convinced me that I'm just trying to make it way too complicated. Let me show you what I mean. So the whole idea is we know that this area gets wet. At some level, the center support is sacrificial. So Jack made the good point of why not just use logs and it will rot a lot slower as one big mass. All right, so here's where we're at. The trail goes right across here through the stream bed, and unfortunately, our center support is looking like it's gonna be right at the deepest point in this little pool. So I am gonna have to do some sort of stacking of rocks and then fitting the center support into those rocks. So I'm gonna try to increase the drainage a bit, but then also get some nice big rocks that our center support will sit on top of. Let's do it. All right, so I just got this to drain out here. You can see how it's pouring out and lowering this pool here. This is exactly where that support needs to go. So behind the scenes, just processing sticks. It's a thankless job, but somebody's gotta do it.
Because this middle support is going to be right in the middle of the stream, we need to create a place for the water to flow that will not be in direct contact with the wood. Luckily, I have some gravel. After shifting things around and finding the perfect spot for everything, I was happy with the site and ready to get this thing built. Now, if only I had somebody to help me lug these things around. One of the best things about building this trail is getting to experience my backyard in ways I wouldn't otherwise. I heard a knocking sound and looked up and saw this. A pileated woodpecker in my backyard. Crazy little guy. So, how do you design something when you know it's going to eventually rot away? I'm taking principles from all the ideas to create a removable central pier. It will have diagonal supports to distribute any lateral loads, and a proper drainage below it to minimize the rotting that will inevitably occur. Finally, build day is here. I bribed him with some sandwiches and the promise of chainsaw, and look at that, we got my brother on site. We're lugging around logs.
Sorry.
Once we got our bearings, we sat about talking about how we were going to do the thing, pointing at things, thinking about things, walking around. Eventually, you just gotta get to it. We found a log that was the right size, and began cutting grooves into the top that would support the bridge. The diagonal supports were fit after we got the central support in place. We set one side snug against the rock and made sure there was gravel underneath it.
I love gravel. Go for it.
Ian Johnson over here.
You have a Gobits?
Yeah. Why do you think I have two of these?
They're for metal too.
You know what they say.
I don't.
I don't know what to say either.
When doing the beam on the other side, we measured and cut it to fit and put pressure on it as we screwed it into place. This would put sideways pressure on the whole system, sort of squeezing the log into place. All right, we decided to add a third screw for stability at a 45. These are sixers. And that was the center support. The main structure is all done.
All right, now we gotta prep the contact point where the stump hits the stump. Stump to stump.
All right, let's go back. About that surface.
What's this? Yeah, we're gonna need to do something on this side, obviously, because it's the same problem down there. It wants to lean this way, but
Yeah, well, we got this one.
one experience where he left his toolbox open. He's like, always close your toolbox.
This has got to be my favorite kind of work. Putting together something functional using what I call vibes-based carpentry. Nothing is pretty, but it's all very beautiful in its own way. Wabi sabi. The next day I got to work figuring out what size boards I wanted to put on top of this thing.
All right, gonna cut some boards as test pieces to see how we like 18 inches as a width. All right, taking these down to test them out. Yeah, initial thought is it's too narrow. I mean, I would ride it, but might be a little spooky for beginners. I feel like it's not bad when you're close to the ground, but then as you get up, you want it to be wider. Well, I'm glad I only cut 3. All right, very scientific 6-inch overhang break-off test. All right, we're going 22-inch as the main one. And then in the middle, I assume this part's like the scariest. For that, we'll do a full 24 inches.
To install the decking, I used 3 appropriate sized screws and 1 plank as a spacer between each board. At the middle, where the logs kink, I had to do some minor adjustments to the board so they would fit together and the spacing would look nice. This is definitely one of the more satisfying steps to watch. I tried to contour these last 2 boards to the shape of this rock with minimal success. I might circle back and fix this up later. Finally, all that was left was to cut off the ends of some of the longer boards in the center. And now the moment of truth. Would Lindsay think it was too scary to ride?
Wow, Cam. This is crazy. I definitely would feel crazy riding under this.
Nice. Approved?
Yeah,
Not too scary?
it's a little scary.
well, that's it. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one. Got some more fun stuff planned.